Hello, and welcome to this episode in the basic series entitled Preparing Target Labels. I'm John Becker with Shooters Technology, makers of the Orion scoring system software and the Athena electronic scoring target. In this episode, we'll cover how to prepare target labels for a match. Within the desktop app, there are a few ways to select athletes to print labels for targets in a match. These include selecting individuals, selecting multiple, selecting by team, or sorting and selecting. The choice is really yours, it's a personal preference. So let's go ahead and go to the Orion desktop software and open the match that you want to print labels for. This is a match that was previously set up and I did a video on. And if you need help setting up a match, you can click on the link above to view the video tutorial. Barcode labels let Orion know which shooter to assign individual targets to, including which position and which series. So from the Match Competitors tab, you may be presented, depending on how big your match is. If this is just a practice and you have your normal favorites of your 4 to 8 to 10 person team, you can go ahead and just select them. The default configuration is based on last name. So if you just had 3 or 4 or 5 of these, you can go ahead and print them in that order. It's not that big of a deal. So the way you would do that is you can select an individual by clicking in this left-hand column. It'll highlight blue. You can select multiples by clicking holding down the control key while you select individuals. Um, or if they were in one continuous or next to each other, you can go ahead and select and hold down Shift and select that, or hold down Shift from below and it'll select the ones below. So again, many ways to do it. Once you have them highlighted, you would right click in the left-hand column and select Print Labels. And I'll go ahead and show you what it does. Um, I have 8 competitors selected. This is a 3 by 10, so it wants to print 24 labels, and it's going to ask you where you want to start. So the way the small barcode label sheets are set up is it is 4 columns of 15 labels. So this would go little over a column and a quarter, but it gives you the selection ability that if you had a partially used label sheet, you don't have to scrap the remaining labels. So let's say we had previously printed 15 in the first column, you can start at column 2 and even as much detail as what row you want to start in. But for this example, we'll just print a full or print from the upper left corner. So what I'm going to do is print a PDF just so you can see what they look like. One thing to keep in mind when you are printing these, make sure that you load your printer correctly with the labels facing down or whatever is appropriate for your printer. So this will show up as, again, as the full sheet. You would have 4 columns of 15. We only had 24. If there were multiple pages or multiple competitors that go past this limit on one sheet, obviously it would keep printing. So keep that in mind when you go to load your uh, labels so you're not wasting label sheets and printing on paper afterwards. But let's go ahead and look at what a label looks like. Okay, in this case, it has last name, first name, competitor number, position, and series within that position. So P for prone, S for standing, K for kneeling. If it was a 3 by 20, you would have P1 and P2, S1 and S2, K1 and K2. In the second series, it has a relay number and a firing point. If, I guess I didn't select anybody that was part of a team, it would also have as many letters in their team name as they can get in to fit on the label. But remember, all of the information that's shown here in both the first line and the second line is really just for match competitors, stat officers, range officers, just to be able to process them and sort them when they hand them out and collect them. Really, the barcode label is what Orion uses to read the data that's embedded, and that's really what's relevant. So that's what your labels are going to look like. But again, any way you want to select them is really a personal preference. So I showed you again, you can do individuals, you can hold shift or hold control. Another way to do it is to click in the upper left-hand corner. This will highlight everybody. And again, once that's selected, you can left click, or I'm sorry, right click, print labels, and it'll tell you everybody's going to print. Now remember, this is the default sorting by last name. This gets a little tough if you were running a large match or you have competitors over multi-days. You really don't want to print them out by last name, because what if you had an Adams and a Washington on the same relay? They would be pages and pages of labels apart. So another way to do that is you can come over here and sort by relay by clicking on the top of the column. And if you printed at this point with everybody selected, they'd be in relay order. So that's a little more convenient. You can also come in if you wanted to and just select one relay or multiple relays. Let's say you're going to have a couple of relays on one day and a couple of relays on the next day. You can print them that way if you want to divide them out. And then another way to print individual competitor labels is by team. So let's go to the Match Team tab. And again, if you selected just one team, or again by holding shift and clicking and selecting multiple teams, if you right click it from the left-hand column, you can print labels, and it would just print them this way, grouped together by team. This is helpful when you have a rather large scale match that um, maybe you hand out targets, you prepare the targets and then hand them out either by relay or to the coaches per team before their team is going to shoot. It's a little more helpful, again, on these larger scale matches when you're organizing the stack of targets by team or by relay. So again, either way you do it, it's really up to you. Same result happens. The labels look the same whether you print them from a team or a match competitor. Again, it's just how you want to sort them. Okay, once you've printed the labels after you've decided how you're going to sort them, now we need to apply them to the target. Best practice is to apply to the upper right-hand corner of the individual targets as shown here above the solid line, and leaving open the position and series. This is more of a practice when you're going to shoot a training match or a practice with your team and you've printed out sheets of labels that just have their name and competitor number. Then they can go in and bubble in the position and series. But for a match, it's okay if it covers part of this if you've already set that up to be encoded. We're going to go ahead in a future video and cover how to scan and score targets. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when future instructional videos are available. As always, if you have any additional questions, feel free to check our helpful guides on the website or email or call our offices for further assistance.